basically the philosophy on that is there's going to be certain things we do that's going to force the hand of the offense. So if we're anticipating drop back pass, 5-step drop, we're going to bring pressure so you can't get to the top of your drop. If we're anticipating run, we're going to run blitz. So we're going to try and dictate the game that way by film study and by kind of calling the right play. Just an aggressive all-around team mentality that we take at Mount A, and 100% carries over to defense. We want to be aggressive, okay? And there's nothing wrong with rushing 4, rushing 3, playing a shell defense. We do a lot of that as well. But at the end of the day, we're going to be a pressure team and we're going to be aggressive. And I think that translates to kind of your kids' mentality in the way they play. And just a quick thing in brackets, they're not all pressures high risk, right? So I'd make the case that if you're trying to stop the drop back game or vertical pass game, what's the one thing that offenses want? They want time. So there's a lot of times that you'll actually be less risk in drop back vertical pass situations if you do pressure because you're going to get home. Whereas if you're sitting in a soft shell and the quarterback's patting the ball and allowing receivers to get downfield. So that's kind of what we mean by not all pressure is high risk. There can be some safe shell pressures. The threat of pressure is huge. So even teams that pressure guys, there's so it's going to dictate how the offense calls a game, and not only that, it's going to dictate how they prep. So you ask any O-line coach, they're going to probably the first team they're going to look at when they play is show me their pressures, or you got a list of 15 pressures you got to break down that are exotic. That's going to that's going to take up a lot of their practice time. So again, that dictates the way they practice, and it dictates the way they call the game. Right? If you're a team that will pressure on second and long, if you're a team that will run blitz on second and short, the offense is always thinking on their play calls in the back of the mind, are they pressuring, are they dropping out? So just the threat of pressure, guys, a lot of the time is actually better than the pressure itself. And then, honestly, they're fun. I enjoy coaching pressures and coming up with fun pressures. Most guys if you're a DB and you tell a guy he's blitzing, he's probably pretty happy. The guys like them. Your D-line get to do stuff. You drop an end, so they're fun to coach, and guys have fun doing them. And then kind of the last one in terms of the why. Sometimes, guys, you're not just going to be good enough to line up and play basic stuff. So you might be undersized up front. You might not just be able to post up in your gap and play straight run fits. You might need to get guys on a move, slant, blitz guys, and just get guys in the backfield. So sometimes it's a talent thing, and you're trying to create some confusion. So really there's kind of 3 things there we say there you can create. We're looking for mismatches, confusion, or sometimes we're just trying to create numbers advantages in the box by, say, adding a DB in and rotating behind them on some of our run pressures. So again, we're talking about why we pressure. First thing, guys, again, the one I'm going to talk about here is pressures are fun. Okay, this is a fun pressure for us. We had fun with it. It's first of all, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun when they work. But this was a fun pressure for us. So one thing I like to do is this is a second and long pressure. So we'll talk about it after, but this falls into our simulated pressure family. So we're simulating pressure. That means we're rushing either 3 and 4. So we're not technically blitzing. A blitz to us is when we rush more than 4, so 5 or more. We're not technically blitzing, but we're simulating pressure by rushing someone who's not a D lineman and playing a really safe coverage behind it. So if you look at the pre-snap picture, it's second and long. We're in our dime package, so we take our we take one of our linebackers out and bring in our dime who ends up lining up at Sam. And all we're doing here, guys, and we'll talk about how we teach pressures and make it really simple. But all we're doing here is we're playing 2-man, so that's like a week 1 or 2 coverage for us. So the coverage is cover 2-man, and we're blitzing the field half. So we're blitzing the field half, who is currently lined up on 2 strong. And the reason we have it paused now is because we always want to have a different pre-snap and post-snap picture. So this is our pre-snap picture. Again, we're blitzing the field half. The dime, who's lined up on the number 3, is just going to bump one guy down and cover the 3. Okay, the Sam, who's on the end of the line of scrimmage, is going to cover up the number 3 strong. And the Will, who's lined up on the weak side of the line of scrimmage, is going to cover 2 weak. And then we have our two deep safeties and our 2 deep shell. Okay, so if that makes sense, we'll run the clip through. You can see the rotation coming from the – sorry, it's just get it running here. You could see the rotation coming, the field halves creeping into the picture. What we're doing inside, we're dropping 2 D linemen. So this is a 3-man rush. Okay, so what we're doing, again, we're simulating pressure. We're rushing 3. We're in a very soft, good coverage for second and long. We're in 2-man, so it's very good coverage. So everyone's in man-to-man. We end up covering the running back with our 2 dropping DNs. And when we cover the back with 2 guys, we play tailback through quarterback. So they're playing basically spy or running back, if that makes sense. And then we have the half coming off the edge. We'll watch from the tight guys. What we're trying to accomplish up front, again, have fun with it. Our D tackles are standing up. They love that stuff. We're showing a 6-up look. So all we're trying to do is get the offensive lineman to condense. Okay, I'll pause it for a second here. What Bishop's ends up doing, they're full slide protection here. So they slide to protection of the field, which, to be honest, is a good protection for them versus this pressure. The only thing is they don't account for the field half. He's usually not a guy in your numbers count. So that's what they're doing. They're full slide in the 7-man pro, and the field half comes off the edge. Inside, we're just running a simple game with our tackles. So again, we'll pause it pre-snap here. We talked about the DNs. We're dropping out here. We're dropping out with our other end who's going to come into the picture. They're playing. If the tailback releases to their side, they got him. If not, they're spying the quarterback. And we're just running a little tackle game on the inside. So those are our 2 rushers. And then our 3rd rusher is the field half, if that makes sense. So again, it's a fun pressure.
Yeah, so Coach,
Sorry?
could you go back to the wide and just talk a little bit about how that coverage flips based on the pressure? So draw what the offense is seeing.
Sure.
Seeing 2-man, and then how that changes, how responsibilities change after this is run.
Absolutely. Good question, Coach. So, again, what we're trying to give the illusion of is this. We're trying to give the illusion that the field half's covering 2, the dime's covering 3, the boundary half or our boundary safety's covered down on 2 weak, the corners are lined up on 1, and then we're in our 2 deep shell, if you guys are with me on that. We're with 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage that are just 6 for 6 in there. We have the illusion we could give cover 0. So we have our 6 up. All we're going to do is rotate 1 guy. So the field half is now going to come. He's going to bump 1 guy down and cover the 2. He's going to bump 1 guy down and cover the 3. If there was no number 3, he'd have to cover someone. He'd be on the other side. The Will has got the 2 right here. Corner's got the 1. And then we have our 2 deep shell. So, again, depending on however you want to play cover 2-man, we're just playing cover 2-man. So we're going to get to how we teach pressures, but the guys got to know this is just 2-man. We're just doing it with a bit of a funky pressure. And, again, we're just bringing the field half off the edge.
Good. That's good.
One more time for you guys. Yeah, no problem. And again, it's a safe coverage. So this would be one where if they pick it up and they do block it, you're not in bad shape because it's a 3-man pressure and you're playing 2-man coverage, which is a really safe coverage. Okay, so we talked about some of the other reasons why we pressure guys. This one's a little different. So this is a 1st and 10 situation. This is the first play of the half. This is Team New Brunswick versus Team Alberta. And like we said, we were an undersized. We had a lot of team speed, really, really good defense, but we were undersized up front. So this was a huge offensive line in Alberta, like 300 across the board. We weren't just going to sit in our gaps and let them maul us. So we were going to be on the move, and we were going to pressure. So all we're doing here, we're in a 30 front, and we're just 6-man pressuring. So this is a run pressure for us. One of the main things, you'll see the disguise. The boundary half does a great job showing he's covering 2 weak. Pause it for a second here. So in their spread formation, the 2 is supposed to dig out the 3, and the number 3 is supposed to dig out the Sam. The good thing about this pressure that I like, and it's a run pressure, we're bringing the Sam inside here. So you'll see this, the number 3 tries to dig him out, but he can't get him because the Sam's actually going in B gap. All we're doing with this pressure, guys, it's really simple. It's a 6-man pressure, so it's a straight gap charge, right? The offensive line in a 1-back set gives us 6 gaps. So we gap charge those 6 gaps, and then we had a really good MAC linebacker. So that guy's going to just be our free scraper, and he's going to flow to the ball. So we're +1 in the box versus a 1-back set with a 7-man box. And all we're doing is rotating to a simple cover 3 look. Okay, now it's a little more complex because we're actually rushing 6 here. So this is a 6-man zone pressure. And again, this is in our, we'll get a little bit more to it when we talk about run pressures, but this is a run pressure. So we're calling this because we want to stop the run. We're better off fitting the run in zone because these guys that I wiggled down that I'm circling, they're going to have eyes and they can be our secondary run players. Okay, if they were in man-to-man, their eyes are just purely on their receivers. So we get extra eyes to the ball when we're run pressuring, if that makes sense. Okay, I'll run this one through from the wide and then we'll go to the tight. So again, 6-man run pressure, simple cover 3 principles to a degree, and we're just outnumbering them. They don't have enough guys to block us. They try and dig us out with the slots, but our boundary half and our Sam do a great job understanding that they got to get underneath that block because we have crack replace players behind them. So again, looking at it from the tight pre-snap, we're given a weak box. Like we want to give the illusion that you're going to be able to run the football. So all we're doing here, those guys are taking care of the 2 A gaps. MAC linebackers free, rushes outside. This is a big part of the blitz. The Sam is in the B gap. So again, watch the number 3 receiver try and block the Sam off the edge with the half. And our quick does a great job here. He gets a down from the tackle. He's chasing down the line of scrimmage. He makes the tackle. And again, look at the size of their O-line. That's a big O-line. So great job by the Sam. Great job by the quick. Great job by the boundary half. Okay, so those were 2 reasons why we pressure, right? The first one, we were having some fun with it on 2nd and long. The second one, when you're a little undersized, you might be a little undermanned versus a big physical team, pressure. Get your guys in the backfield, get them on the move. Okay, how to teach and execute, okay? The first thing is first, that's kind of just a general point. Fundamentals show up in every scheme, coverage, or front, okay? So if your guys are fundamentally sound, it'll translate to all schemes. Okay, I know that's not sexy, but basically what we mean by that. So if you're playing corner, okay, if I'm a corner and I'm lined up on the number 1, if he runs a fade and they throw it, I don't really care what the coverage is unless you're doubling him. That comes down to fundamentals of playing a jump ball. You could be in cover 4, you can be in cover 3, you can be a man, right? It doesn't really matter. You got to play the 50-50 ball. So those fundamentals of playing the football will translate whatever coverage you're in. So first things first, before you get into teaching a bunch of pressures, you should have a fundamental base for your kids that translates regardless of the scheme. Second thing, I think it's important to teach the why and not just – so if we use math as the example, the kid can't just know 2 + 2 = 4. He's got to know the formula, and he's got to be able to figure it out on his own. Because we're going to show when we teach our simple pressures, like we're just teaching guys to replace other guys. So for instance, we're going to talk about our cover 3 pressures. If you're the will linebacker and you know what the whole defense is doing, well, then if I tell you, okay, you just got to do what the weak half is doing on this pressure, then you'll probably be able to execute pretty good. Whereas if you just know what your job is on cover 3 because, well, I'm the will, and so understanding the why is very important, and that'll really allow your guys to learn a lot more stuff, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be creating you're going to be tagging pressures with coverages you already have in, right? Okay, so this is a cover 3 pressure for us, or a cover 4 pressure. So if they already know those principles and those concepts, you're going to be able to run a lot of different stuff. Last thing, if you're going to put pressures in, you got to believe in it and you got to use them, right? So don't spend much time on pressures if you're not going to call them in a game. If you don't call them and if you don't believe in them, your kids won't believe in them. So call your pressures, be aggressive with them. If you're going to take the time to practice them, see how they work in the game. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we teach really simple pressures here. Okay, so really simple, guys. This is all we're doing here. This is going to be a 5-man pressure. So we're sending the field half off the edge. Simple 5-man pressure. We'll talk about the front a little bit more, but all we're doing 5-man. Okay, so we're 5-man pressure, and we're just rotating coverage. Okay, so we'll talk about when we place zone blitz, we just void one of the underneath zones. Okay, so this is going to be in our cover 3 family. Obviously, we're not going to void one of the deep third zones. So if the field half blitzes, we have a rule, not to get too much into our rules actually, but if a perimeter player blitzes, we got to cover him up. So the free safety is going to cover up the field half. And again, just for simple teaching, you're going to tell the free safety, you're just the field half now in cover 3. Okay, so you're the field half in cover 3. Our boundary half, because again, we can't not have a free safety in cover 3. Our boundary half now becomes the free safety. Okay, boundary corner, still the boundary corner, right? Do we have a boundary half right now? No. So who's got to cover him up? The will. That's what we were talking about. If your will knows what the boundary half's doing, his job's real simple. Okay, deep third players, deep third, and then you're just in a cover 3 shell. Okay, so it looks like a lot of stuff's going on, but you're simply just playing a day 1 coverage. You're doing a little bit different stuff with the front, but that's not too difficult. And you're just teaching the 3 deep concept, okay? And we'll run this one through, but one of the things like I touched on, okay, so we're blitzing the field half here, okay? We call him, he's a perimeter player, okay? What do we mean by a perimeter player? If a player is lined up outside of the box pre-snap covering a receiver, he's a perimeter player. That means we have to cover him up if he blitzes. If you look at the picture paused right now, we have no one on too strong. So if they rise up and throw to too strong, that's not a very sound pressure coverage. So again, perimeter player blitzes, okay, now we got to cover him up with the free safety. Everywhere else, we're already covered up. Corner's covering up 1, corner's covering up 1, Sam's covering up 4. Technically, the safety's rotating to cover up 3 in 41. So we're covered up, right? We're covered up on the hots. One thing when you're zone blitzing, a general philosophy, you kind of just want to cover the hot receivers because if your pressure gets home and you take away the hots, you should be all right. If your pressure doesn't get home, you still have a 3 deep shell, and you'll live to play another down if they find the right guy underneath. Okay, sorry, I'll run this back and just let it run through. Again, simple 3 deep pressure. Our free safety is even a little bit late, but it's a results-driven industry, and he does a great job jumping in front, making a great play on the quarterback, and then taking this one back for 6. So, again, that's a great job. The free safety understands what we're trying to do. We're blitzing the field half, so he knows he's got to cover him up. Okay, we'll look at it from the tight. Really simple. All we're doing, long stick from the rush. That means he's going 2 gaps over, so our number 92 is going into the A gap. Number 99 is going into the other A gap. 90 staying B. 95 staying outside in C gap. One thing that's really important, guys, just to, while we're on it, this guy right here, 95, if you're the quarterback control player, so basically the edge player away from the pressure, you got to anticipate that quarterback's going to get flushed to your side. So you better not jump inside. If we're rushing the field half and you're the weak side defensive end, there's a good chance if the quarterback stays in, he's going to flush to you. You could get some cheap sacks just waiting home. Okay, so if you're away from pressure, you got to coach those guys, keep the quarterback in the pocket. So all we're doing here, this is technically a run pressure for us. So he's not in the screen, but the field half's going to be coming up. into the D gap as our edge player. Our Sam's already here. So we're creating an 8-man box. And then our Will would be our 8th guy in the box, taking over the weak half's job. Okay, so we'll run this through from the tight. Again, it's a simple 5-man pressure. The quarterback throws hot, and number 9 does a great job. They do a great job even, I'll run it back. You get a good view of it from the tight. You can see, sorry guys. You get a good view from the tight. Watch number 9 and number 20 comes in late, but they do a great job at disguising, right? Like that's number 9. He's our free safety. Watch how late he goes to cover up the pressure, right? The quarterback just doesn't see him. So that's a great job by the free safety, understand what we're doing, and then just making a great play on the ball and finishing. So, again, great job by number 9, executing, knowing what we're doing. And good pre-snap disguise by everyone involved. So, okay, again, so that was just another simple cover 3 pressure. Okay, this has got a little bit more juice on it. We're doing a little bit more funky stuff. But at the end of the day, we're coaching this. This is just a cover 3 blitz, and we're rushing 5. Okay, again, we're in one of our sub packages where we bring an extra defensive back in and take one of our linebackers out. So you could see with our DBs, we're given somewhat of a 2 deep kind of flat top shell. We're playing the sticks at 2nd and 10, and we're showing that same look with the front with 6 guys up. Okay, all we're going to do, we're going to rotate to a really simple coverage. Okay, again, like a day 1 coverage for us. This is cover 3. Okay, sorry. We're going to just roll the cover 3 cut field, hold cut to the field, and hold to the boundary, okay? So all that means is the corner is going to be low to the field, the half's going to be low to the boundary, and our 3 deep shell is going to consist of the boundary corner being 1, the dime being the 2nd, and the field half being the 3rd guy, okay? One of the good things that and one of the reasons we sub guys, and so the reason we bring our linebacker out and bring an extra DB in on 2nd and long is you'll see those 6 DBs that I have drawn lines on right now. That gives us an extra player to basically play a deep zone. So we play like a true 4-3 with 3 heavy set linebackers. Those guys wouldn't be as comfortable playing a deep third. So we bring an extra defensive back in. And now that dime's really comfortable rolling into the deep third. So, again, really simple cover 3 pressure. And all we're doing with the front, we're just popping one of these D linemen out, and he's playing the low hole. Okay? We're going to talk about, again, when you don't want your guys doing things they can't be successful. So, usually unless it's a real true hybrid guy, when we drop our D linemen, we're going to keep their coverage responsibilities really simple. Like this guy's responsible for, we call it the low hole. Like you're just playing off the QB, and basically if you make a play, it's a bonus, but we're in a good cover shell with our defensive backs already. Okay, so we'll run this one through. Again, it's really important. It's a cover 3 shell, but the guys on the back end do a great job disguising it. Okay, so on the back end, the guys roll into the shell late, and we end up getting home. Okay, so you'll see one thing they end up doing is we'll pause it, but the 2 and 3 end up stack releasing. So if you look at the number 2 and the 3 receiver to the strong side, they stack release, which, again, they don't know we're zone blitzing, but when we're zone blitzing, that makes our jobs a little easier. So when we're playing cut to the field, which means this halfback's high, we lose one of our hot players. So we're rolling the safety down to cover 3 hot, and it's zone guys, but he's got to hold the hot. And we're actually, if you look at this field corner that's kind of squiggling in, this is what we call a trap coverage, where he's splitting 1 and 2. Again, because the half's high, we don't want him just hanging on 1. So this is a trap coverage. But since they stack the 2 and 3, it makes our free safety's job a little bit easier. And then, again, if you talk the boundary, we're just in a hold shell. So the boundary half's got to hold the 2 weak on the hot, and the boundary corner's got to hold 1. But, again, he's our 3rd deep player. So that's our 3 deep shell, and our D lineman's dropping underneath playing, like we said, a really simple coverage responsibility, playing off the QB. Okay, we'll go from the tight. Okay, so again, we're disguising a bit. In these kind of fronts, it allows you to move your personnel around a bit. So these are actually our two defensive ends that are going to end up walked into the A-gap. They're really good players. So it's all based on what we're trying to do, guys. We're just trying to attack protection in certain ways. So, again, we know that if we put those guys in the A-gap, that's an unusual look. They're going to have to – something in protection that we saw that we thought we could attack. So it's a good job by those guys up front. Run it through one more time. So, again, really simple pressure. It's a gap charge from the D-line. Okay, we have guys are just simply when I say gap charge, guys are just rushing the gap they're lined up in. Okay, so they're not spiking, they're not stunting. It's just a straight gap charge. And then we're just popping one guy out and playing cover three. Really simple. But it looks like there's a lot of stuff going on. And we get home, okay? So like we talked about how to teach, you want to make it as simple as you can. And if you teach concepts, like our guys should all know cover three, cut strong. So it should be a relatively simple concept for us to pick up, okay? I even saw this is good because I saw this was kind of one of the questions. What kind of pressure, okay, now we're going to get into, and what are we trying to accomplish at the end of the day, right? Because there's no magical play. If there was one pressure that was great versus everything, we'd all just call it every time, and it wouldn't even be fun coaching ball. But again, what are we trying to do? So basically for us, there's a ton of different factors: down and distance, personnel, game situation. We're going to get into that a bit more, but for us, we group our pressures really into like 4 different families. So the first one, in no order, the first one, run pressure. Okay, so we talked a bit about that. Essentially what we're trying to do, guys, is we're trying to create a numbers advantage in the box. Okay, simply put, the offense doesn't want to run the ball into unblocked defenders. Okay, if they only have 6 guys to block 7 and we can't stop the run, well, then we're just not very good. So if we create numbers advantages in the box, that's what we're trying to do with our run pressures. Okay, one of the things we talked about when we run pressure, I prefer to be in zone coverage on the back end to get those secondary run fit players being in the secondary defensive back. And honestly, I find it's a little bit safer from the back end than your conventional cover zero because you could stay in a zone shell. Now, it's not going to be as good versus the quicks but again, we can't stop everything with one call. So that's our philosophy behind run pressures. Second category would be 5-man pressure / our zone blitzes. So the 2 we just showed you would both fit into that category. They were both 5-man pressures, and all we're doing is playing some version of cover 3 or cover 1, really, for the most part. You could get a little bit more complex on the back end, but usually it's some version of cover 34, so 3 deep, 4 underneath coverage in zone. And cover 1 where you have a post seam player in the middle of the field. You have man coverage everywhere else. So that's our 5-man zone blitz. A lot of those, that would probably be we'll have the most of those because a lot of those are just really simple. Like you could be in a 40 front, blitz your back linebacker. That's 5-man pressure, play cover 3. So you'll have a lot of tags that can just add, and you could create a lot of 5-man pressures if that makes sense. The third one and the one that you have a lot of fun with, and we believe in on second and long, is simulating pressure. So again, we're gonna show examples of all these, but we already showed the one simulated pressure where if you can rush under. So again, when you're not blitzing, meaning you're rushing 3 or 4, you're going to be really good coverage wise on the back end, or you should be. So if you can get home rushing 3 or 4 guys, you should be laughing. So usually for us, when we're playing simulated pressure, it's not just a tag like I talked about where we blitz the MAC and drop a D tackle. So simulated pressures are usually a full field concept. So it's something that the front, the blitz, and the coverage will all be matched. So it might be a one-word call, but they know, okay, this is what we're doing with the blitz. This guy's pressure, and we're doing this with the front, and we're doing this with the coverage. Okay, so that's what I mean by full field concept. And then the last one that I think is important and I've learned from some good coaches that are here and around the league, it's good to have this one in your back pocket is +1, which means really simple. If they block with 6, you bring 7. If they block with 7, you bring 8. You're rushing one more than they can cover and pretty much playing 0 on the back end, or just straight cover 0 pressure, where more conventional, if they block with 6, you're rushing 6, and you're covering the tailback and man-to-man, and everyone else is in straight 0. So those are our 4 kind of families that we usually put the pressures in. And what we'll do now is we'll give you guys some examples of each kind of pressures, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish. So, okay, so run pressure. Okay, when we're run pressuring, we talked about the main thing we're going to talk about, it's all about numbers. So pre-snap, we do a good job of just showing pretty much our base shell. If anything, our Sam linebackers may be cheating, but we're showing a good base shell. This pressure, guys, we're in a 40 front. Really simple. Again, it's a gap charge for us. The mac's going to gap charge the B gap. The free safety is going to gap charge the other B gap. And then the other D linemen just fill up the other gap. So it's a 6-man gap charge, run pressure. We're rotating behind it into a simple cover 3. Okay? So again, since the free safety's blitzing, well, he's the deep third player. Okay, we got to cover him up with the weak half. Okay, we got our 3 deep shell drawn up, and then we have our 3 underneath zone players. Okay, so again, it's a zone coverage. It ends up being a good time call, first of all, because they're running the ball, but we also talked about in terms of spacing, what's going to help you out in zone blitz situations is the condensed formations. It just takes away the possibility of them going quick. Sorry, guys, I'll run it through from the wide. Also note, again, the disguise. So the free safety times this up perfectly. Okay, if you watch the free safety ends up making the play, he's timing this perfectly. He's on like a full sprint from like 15 yards when the quarterback's in his cadence, and he makes a great play. So, again, really simple 6-man gap charge. We'll pause it on the snap. So on the snap, they bomber in or slice in, whatever you want to call it, which makes our job a little easier. 6-man pressure. And since we added the free safety into the box, guys, that gives us our 8 in the box, right? Because the free safety wasn't in the box pre-snap. We add him in. Well, now there's our 8th guy in the box, and we're playing really good run defense. And a good shell coverage behind it, right? So the thing about, again, the philosophy behind the zone when you're run blitzing, if they rise up and throw hot to 1 strong on a curl and complete it for 10 yards, it is what it is, right? Like the football, again, it's a chess match, and they're going to call them right too. But if you run the ball, this shit's going to happen. So that's a really good job, and that free safety is pretty good. We're going to talk about the who matters. The who is pretty important too. So, again, just from the wide, we're just trying to show our base front, really. Depending on what the front is called, it doesn't really matter. But, again, we talked about it. The max going weak B, the strong – watch the free safety. Like, look at the depth. He's at – the pause at the quarterback's starting his cadence, and he's at 15. Like, they're not accounting for him. So he really times this up perfectly, hits it on a full run, and makes a really good play. Like, that's – great play by 8. And we fit up the run well away from it, right? If you we'll pause it just kind of in our run fits. Right there, that's a pretty good run fit. Okay, that's not bad. If anything, our ends got to stay outside and keep his outside arm free here on the edge, but that's a pretty good run fit. So, again, that's a run pressure. Really simply put, if I was explaining it in 2 seconds, we're just trying to get 8 in the box, guys. We're just trying to get 8 in the box, and we're just trying to outnumber the O-line. Okay. The second category we talked about, guys, so this one is in our 5-man pressure / zone blitz category. So all we're doing here, this is out of a 30 front where we got an extra DB on the field. So, again, same thing. We're playing with 6 DBs. We'll talk about this one more on the tight, but from a coverage standpoint, we're really just playing quarters. We're really just playing cut weak to the boundary. And hold to the field. So, again, if you look at our 3 deep shell, okay, it's right here. These two are going to rotate low. We're in a 3-deep shell, and we're zone blitzing. Really simple. The guys all know it's a day one coverage. We're just disguising and making it look kind of funky. Okay, we'll talk about the pressure in a second when we go to the tight. But this is just like a simple inside stunt. We're going down, down, and around, and this we'll talk about it. But we're trying to free up the MAC here, which is the looper. Okay, it's a pretty good stunt. But again, we'll talk about the coverage first. In terms of the back end, guys, you watch good rotation. So again, the guys do a really good job stemming the coverage, which means moving late and giving the quarterback a different picture. Good route recognition. So again, we play with some match principles in zone. So we're route recking and not covering grass. Then our nose tackle does a great job getting off and playing on the quarterback. So watch this one from the tight. Okay. In terms of the pressure, guys, what we're doing is we're going here, here, here. Okay, so the MAC's coming around. I drew the loop way too wide. Okay, what ends up, the pressure works decent, but what could have made it a little bit better is if the MAC, what we want him to do is flash that guard. So this guy with the blue helmet, MAC linebacker, he wants to engage this 62 with his eyes. So when we tell you to flash him, you got to engage him. If he doesn't look at you, he's not blocking you. So make him engage you with his eyes. And then put your left foot in the ground and loop around as tight as you can. Okay, so we actually do a great job. Basically, the whole concept of this pressure, we are trying to get this guy and this guy. So number 50, our Will, and our nose tackle to occupy these 3 blockers. And they do a good job in that. Okay, so again, this game is really for the MAC. Can the other guys be free? Sure. Okay, we pause it right here. The MAC's free. Okay, the back actually does a great job scanning and protection. Okay, just talking a little bit more about this game. One of the good things about it, you got a lot of stuff going on inside for the quarterback. When you bring games right in the quarterback's face, like interior pressure, so in between the tackles, he's going to see that stuff going on. And he's going to, like most young guys are not comfortable with stuff going on in the pocket. The second thing that's good about it versus a mobile quarterback, you got two edge rushers. Your edge is really set. Your 2 ends are rushing outside, so you should have a good frame in the quarterback, of the quarterback in the pocket. It's a pretty good pressure to create stuff in the quarterback's throwing lanes. He sees the MAC linebacker coming free. The tailback does a good job picking him up, even though the MAC is a stud and runs right through him. But again, the quarterback, with that stuff going on inside, the quarterback's flustered and steps up. And then our nose tackle does a great job of getting off a block and making a play. But watch our MAC linebacker just run through the tailback. That's pretty good stuff. He's pretty damn good. So again, simple cover 3 pressure. That's a game that you can run out of a bunch of different fronts. And once you guys understand the concept of the game, it's simple. You can tag it with a bunch of different stuff. Okay. Again, the fun stuff, simulated pressure. So this is the same pressure we opened up with. I just wanted to get into a little bit more detail once we talked about what simulated pressures are. So again, what we're trying to do here, guys, we're trying to create pressure without actually blitzing. So it's a 3-man rush. We have 2 tackles stunting inside. We have our field half off the edge. Dimes covering up 2, dropping out to 3, dropping out to 2 weak. We're covering up the ones with the corners. And we have our cover 2-man shell, right? So cover 2-man, guys, a really good coverage. Like if you have good players and if you can play man, like all man coverage. But again, it's a really safe coverage because you got 2 deep players. Then even versus mobile quarterbacks, what we did, because Bishop's quarterback's a good athlete, we put in a designated spy where both, again, our ends are playing like we talked about. So we pop both of our ends. And again, we had really good ends. So those guys are going to get the protection. The O-linemen are going to be looking at those guys when they're lined up inside. Those are our 2 spy players to quarterback. So again, if the back releases to their side, they got to take them. If not, they're spying the quarterback. So we'll run this one through. Again, the disguise is key. Note the dime is doing a great job lining up on 3 and not showing early on 2. And also the field half's doing a pretty good job lining up on 2, showing a press look. The line is doing a great job of showing pressure. Field half creeps in late. They slide the other direction. So we talked about last time Bishop's full slide. This time they're sliding the protection to the boundary. And the tailback's responsible for the field half. He's just late with his eyes, right? We'll watch it from the tight. But rarely are they scanning to the field half. So I don't really blame the back. And then we're looking at the coverage. We'll pause it, right? Because here's the thing. These simulated pressures, guys, they're not always going to work. Okay, you're rushing 3. We're only rushing 3 here. There's a good chance you're going to get picked up, okay? But if you look at it, shoot, if we get picked up, we're fine. We're in 2-man coverage. Like, there's nowhere to throw hot. We're in a really safe coverage. So, again, if we don't get home, we're in 2-man, okay? So it's no harm, no foul. And, again, note that, like we talked about with our simulated pressures, guys, this is 2nd and 10, okay? We're in our dime personnel grouping. This is not something we're going to do on 1st and 10 unless we're 100% really they're passing. Like, we'll look at the tight. Like, this is obviously not a good run front for us, okay? We have our D-line standing up, okay? So this is something where, again, we're selling out that they're throwing the football, and it's based on different things like game study, game film, and all that. So, again, drawing it. These 2 guys are dropping out and playing man-to-man. These 2 DNs are dropping out and spying. These 2 guys are running a little game inside. Field half's off the edge. Fun pressures. Simulated pressures are fun. Guys, D linemen like standing up. D tackles, they're not doing anything different, but they're standing up, and it looks cool. So they're having fun with that. Quarterback drops the ball, and they just miss him in the pro. And don't do that stuff where you jump on guys late. That's not very smart. And love the celebration. Okay, so that's a simulated pressure. Again, we're just trying to simulate pressure when we're not actually pressuring. One more simulated pressure, because simulated pressures are fun. Again, this is early in the season, so we weren't as into our personnel packages. So this is just out of our 40 front, so base personnel grouping. All we're doing here, guys, we're rotating into, again, a day 1 coverage. So we're bringing the Sam. We'll talk about the blitz when we go inside, but we're trying to beat their protection, and we're just rotating to cover 3. Okay, so it's cover 3. Our deep players are the field half, the new free safety who's the boundary half, and the boundary corner. That's our 3 deep shell, and we're only rushing 4 guys because we dropped the quick. So we dropped the defensive end and rush the Sam. So if you watch that develop, again, you'll see a 3 deep shell. Again, look at the good job disguising. Number 4. Honestly, guys, as a defensive back, little things can really play with a quarterback. Like number 4, just by him creeping his posture down a little bit to the line of scrimmage, it looks like he's playing hold, right? So those are the little things you can do to dictate coverage based on the quarterback. And again, you see us creep out late into our cover 3 shell. Sam comes off the edge. And again, if you pause it, when we get home, we're covered up because we're only rushing 4. We're in a safe coverage. Corner does a great job not covering grass. Same with the safety. We're in our 3 deep shell over here, and we're in good shape. Okay, we'll go to it from the tight. We haven't talked too much about pressure in terms of attacking protection. What you want to do, guys, at the end of the day, one of the big things is you want to find ways to exploit the other team's pass protection. It could be as simple as, hey, their center is just really bad. Let's get our best player on their center. That's exploiting their protection. Their left tackle's really shitty. Like, let's put our best. So it could be something as simple as that, or it could be schematic and something you picked up based on game plan. So this is more schematic. This is a big-on-big protection team. So we scouted that they would pretty much tag who they're tagging here and here, and it's a man protection scheme. So what we're trying to do, guys, we're basically trying to get 92 free. We're going to wrap him inside the A-gap, and we're basically going to pick the guy who's blocking him So this guy I'm circling the tackle, we're going to pick him with our tackle, and 92 is going to come inside. We're also going to bring the Sam off the edge. In their protection, the tailback would take the Sam. So we're really putting again, this was a way we thought we could beat the protection. So that's 3 guys right there. Our 4th rusher is our other D tackle, and then we're peeling an end out. So 4-man pressure, safe coverage, but we're attacking a protection. And again, simulating pressure. So we're only rushing 4. This is not something that, if we call this, we're not worried about giving up the home run ball 80 yards over our head because we're in soft zone. Okay, and again, watch this guy on the game. He's going to be the guy we're trying to free up. The key is 91 picking 67, getting vertical in his gap and taking that inside shoulder of 67. See him try and follow. They try and switch it, but we do a pretty good job. Our Sam just beats the tailback. So that's a good job by the guys executing that 3-to-a-side pressure. So those are a couple simulated pressures, guys. And then the last kind of family that we talked about is, again, we talk like the time and a place where you need to say we're playing, we're going +1 or we're playing 0. Okay, so time and a place. We're all we're doing here, again, the principles of +1. So when you hear +1, this is a 2-back set for the offense. So that means they got 5 O-linemen plus a 6 blocker. So we need to rush 7. Sorry, guys, they have 2 backs in the game. So it's a 7-man pro. So
he's doing like a clinic.
So we need to bring 8. Okay, so the big thing here, guys, we end up
he's doing like a coaching clinic for defense.
Mark, stop talking. I can hear you. So we're bringing a guy off the edge here, okay? So to get our 8th guy into the box and into the pressure, guys, again, we talked about this is a 2-back set. So they have their 5-0 line, fullback, tailback. So our front 7, they can block our front 7 with their 7. Okay, the 8th guy right now, we're sneaking him is off the edge. So our boundary half becomes our +1 player. If that makes sense, we'll run it through. He does a great job adding into the pressure. They end up running the football, and we end up making a tackle for loss. So in terms of the run game, +1, depends on it's to be the way we're running it here. It's honestly not a great run defense. It's a straight. So this would be a boom or bust. When I talked about not all pressures are high risk, if we get creased and we're in +1 and they run the football, it is a touchdown. And we'll talk about it from the reason why. Okay, so again, looking at the tight. So all we're doing here, guys, is a 22 set. So the weak half is pressuring. So we got to cover him up with the free safety. So the free safety covers him up. But the reason it's going to be not a weak run defense, but it's a sellout run defense. So it's a go big or go home. We'll pause it right now. We have 0 flow players. So flow players meaning we have no linebackers, DBs off the ball. So if they crease us, if someone gets out of their gap, it's probably 6 points unless our DBs can bail us out. So again, it's not something we're going to want to run. If teams running gap scheme, and Nova Scotia got us on that in the summer, they pulled the guy and moved a gap, and we got creased. So again, time and a place, it ended up working out for us here. But it's good to have. If you want to be aggressive and time and a place, played man coverage, play +1, and again, the threat of you guys going +1 is always in the offense's mind. Your dropout, your simulated pressures are going to be that much more effective when you can actually, because if you don't pressure and then you're running a bunch of dropout pressures, they're not going to respect it. So you have to pressure to make your dropouts and your simulated pressures effective, if that makes sense. Okay, so next thing we'll talk about, we talk more about what, but when to call your pressures. So the beauty of coaching ball, like football is the ultimate chess match, right? So, again, we talked about if there was one awesome play that worked versus everything, we'd probably all run it. Calling the right pressure at the right time can win you a game or it can lose you a game, right? It's important to have a game plan going in on how you're going to call your pressures. So there's a number of different factors. We've touched on a lot of them. But when you're prepping or setting up your call sheets, a couple of things you want to take into consideration. What's the down and distance, right? So we talked about those simulated pressures. Great on 2nd and 15 when we're getting drop back pass. We're not running that on 2nd and 3 where we're getting power. What field zone are we in? So are we in the middle of the field? Are we in the win zone, which is when we have the other team backed up? Are we in the red zone where if we're on our own 10-yard line, a 10-yard hitch is the same as a 100-yard fade because there's only 10 yards to go. Game situation. Score, talent, momentum, and gut. So obviously the score is a factor. If you're up 30, you probably don't need to run pressure a whole lot. You can sit back, play. Talent is a factor. So again, if a team's got it really good, or it's based on talent, right? If you can't stop them in the run game and you need to add guys, run pressure. Momentum, so that's kind of self-explanatory. Just momentum, feel of the game, and then the last one, like sometimes there's just gut calls in a game where you just feel something and you're like, hey, F it, we're going this pressure, and it's a gut call. Like there's a couple of those per game. And then the last one kind of ties into all of it, but based on film study or game flow, what's the offense going to do, right? So we talked about we have those 4 different schools of pressure. Obviously, if we think they're going to try and run, we're going to run pressure, right? There's pretty much, at the end of the day, the offense can do a ton of different stuff. But really, they're pretty much running the ball. They're passing, and when I mean passing, that's drop back pass. So the quarterback's putting his foot in the ground, 3-step, 5-step, and not throwing the ball right away, or they're throwing quicks. So quicks can be screen game, hots, like anything where he's throwing quick game. And so those are really the 3 things you're going to get, and trying to sell out and kind of that chess match of when you're going to get what is kind of the fun of calling a game and game planning. So we'll go to the next clip here. So this is just a straight gut call. Okay, so again, sometimes you're just going to call something in a game. The situation, but it's all situational based, right? So situationally, this is our homecoming game. It's the biggest crowd of the year. We were up the whole game, so I believe it was about 20. We were up about 20. St. FX had a good drive. They just drove and scored. They scored a touchdown. Made it a 2-possession game. So and this was at a point we hadn't won yet, so we were. We'd lost some close games, so we were starting to feel it a bit. They recover an onside kick right away after them scoring. It just wasn't getting great vibes. Again, no one was panicking, but we needed to make a play. So again, this is 1st and 10. This is not a situation where normally we run. What we're going to end up in here is our +1 pressure. So we don't +1 a lot on 1st and 10. But this is a situation where, again, it's nice to have it in your back pocket. And we basically just said, hey, we need a play. Let's go +1. It's 1st and 10. And this wasn't a game plan thing. I didn't see anything on the call sheet that made me think that, hey, we need a pressure. We need to make a play. So it's not even executed great. But if you watch, our Sam linebacker just makes a great play. Again, players, not plays. Sam linebacker off the edge. He forces the ball out. Then 11 scoop and scores, and that was pretty much the game. So that was a huge play in the game. And again, that was more gut than anything. That wasn't a tendency thing. That was based on game feel and situation and just straight gut. Hey, we needed a play, +1, and the guys made a play. Now there's going to be examples where that happens the other way. You get a gut feeling they score a touchdown, but we're not going to show those ones. So again, great job. We'll talk about the front briefly, but again, in terms of +1, guys, there's a bunch of different ways you can get to +1. We're not even going to talk about it, but all you got to know, you're rushing 1 more than they can protect. Okay. And one thing that's really important, I know we haven't talked too much about actual concepts, but the concept of +1, it is essentially it's a risk-reward defense. You should be able to, if you're sound in it, you should be able to keep the roof on. But again, it's an aggressive style, but it's important, I think, to teach guys when you're teaching them concepts what it's good versus and what it's not good versus. So, like, if we get this, we got to all be ready for it. So when you're teaching +1, the way we get our +1 guy is we're technically not covering the tailback in these one-back sets. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. We're responsible for the tailback with our whole front. So, again, whatever your rules are, but you got to know that this concept, the thing that scares the you-know-what out of us is them throwing to the tailback or releasing the tailback. The second thing that scares us is guys adding in, right? Since they want to get even, right? +1, if we're +1 on defense, we should win. If they're even, we're not in good shape. So they end up bombering it in and blocking us even, I believe. Or no, sorry, they don't. But again, we're late on the pressure. Our Sam just makes a really good play.
Zach, what do you mean by the whole front is responsible for the back? Like, you're not delegating specific guys that have peel rules. Like, everybody's got a peel rule.
So again, not without getting into like what even gaps we're necessarily charging here, but basically what that means is if you're in the pressure, you have a potential to cover the back. So pretty much there's only a couple things you're thinking of without getting into too much of the rules of what they do when they're getting blocked, but you have a gap you're going to charge. So you're straight gap charging. And what I tell guys is you got to assume you're the unblocked player. So if they mess up their protection and say leave 95 free, he can't assume he's not going to be blocked because he's the unblocked guy, go tackle the quarterback. So we're all assuming we're unblocked, but what we've done is created a numbers advantage. So let's just say we're here, which is kind of what we're trying to get to. Like you said, it's really the easy job becomes being the peel player. So for us, a peel player would be the edge blitzer in this set. So right now, 30 and 31 are pre-snap going to be the peel players. Peel's easy. That just means if the back releases to your side and outside, then bam, I'm going to peel with them. So that's pretty straightforward. Where it becomes a little trickier is you got to know if he blocks you, he's yours. So for instance, let's just say they block it like, let's just say they go, guard goes here. Again, they fuck up the pro, and the back's responsible for 95. Or he steps to 95. Again, kind of even thinking about eyes. If he engages you with your eyes and you're rushing, like, that's your guy. So we would tell him, like, if he blocks you, you're not making a move on the tailback. You're straight picking him up and driving him. Because if they run T-screen or something, right, if the tailback shows that he's going to block 95, 95 swims him, and then he goes by him, we got nobody covering him, and they're out the gate. So basically you're gap charging, you're assuming you're the unblocked guy, and then if you engage the tailback, he's yours, all of him. Like, you have all of the tailback is what we say. So does that kind of make sense? Or?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Beauty. So, and that's the key, like, and because honest, again, you could drill it home all you want. We fucked it up once. We left the back wide. Like, we got to all cover the back. It's got to be communicated, and they got to all know it. And then I also believe they all have to believe they're the unblocked guy. Getting to a little bit more, if they are blocked, they essentially press and try and get their hands up. Because, again, we talked about how we have no help in here. We try and get our D linemen. If they throw crossers underneath here, man, that's a D lineman's play. Like, I need my D linemen to get their hands up and bat that shit down. Like, even though DBs are hard inside leverage, since we're get block, stay block principles inside, I want those D linemen to be unselfish. If you're blocked, get your hands up. If you're the unblocked guy, go make a play, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to do there. And again, we run this pressure really bad. We don't even get +1, but it's nice when your guy makes a play. So that was just straight gut feel on that pressure, guys. Where to pressure, having pressure for different situations. So this is one that kind of gets into like, I think when you're either creating a game plan or even like preseason type when you're creating a playbook. One thing, if I'm going into a game plan, okay, you got to think of it. If we're playing this team, we're lucky if we get 10 to 12 second and long situations in that game, right? So 10 to 12 second and longs. Why would I have 30 second and long pressures, right? And obviously that's an extreme example, but you're just never going to be able to call 30 second and long pressures. So I like to group it out in terms of like, okay, we'll look at the 5 categories we talked about. Like, do I have pressure for each D&D situation? So again, I might have 100 things for 1st and 10, but then we're 2nd and long, we got no pressures. And then at that point, I got to start, okay, let's cut some 1st and 10s, add a couple 2nd and longs so I can actually, because again, the game situations, there's only going to be this amount of 1st and 10, this amount of 2nd and medium, this amount of 2nd and long. Okay, the second part of that, you only have so many practice reps. So again, if you have 85 cover 3 zone blitzes, do you need 85 blitzes of the same concept, or can you cut that down to 4 or 5 and then add a couple other of different concepts so you have a little more variety in what you're doing? So again, the areas, D&D situations, obviously big. 1st and 10, 2nd and medium, 2nd and long, however you want to break it down. We already talked about our 4 categories and our 4 play types. So again, if I have 100 run blitzes and no designer pressures, well, shit, I got to come up with some designer pressures and scrap a couple of these sweet run blitzes. Offensive play type. This is huge, right? So again, and even this was something that I like. Self-scouting is important, guys. Like halfway through the season, I wasn't self-scouting enough, and halfway we got no pressures for 2nd and medium. Like they can like be good versus the quicks. We're kind of all either run pressure or 2nd and long. So play type, like, do you have something that's going to be good versus the run? Do you have something that's going to be good versus the quicks? And do you have something that's going to be good versus drop back? If you check all the boxes, again, you don't want to have 100 of one, or then defensive concept. You could break it up into a bunch of different ways. Like, again, we talked about cover 3, that's a concept, cover 4, but really I like to look at it in 4 different ways. We have our soft man concepts. So what do I mean by soft man? 2-man is a soft man concept. So that's what, it doesn't mean the guys are playing it soft. What that means to me is if I call that, okay, again, it's soft, meaning I'm not worried. Can they go 80 yards over the top if we're in 2-man? Absolutely. But technically, it should be a pretty safe coverage. So again, it's a safe coverage. It could be 3-man, whatever. It could even just be off man where you're playing it really soft. Tight man would be where, like, shit, they're in 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 4, and we're playing run to quick games. So you tighten up, and if they throw a fade, like, we'll take it. Like, tight man is where you're like 2nd and short, 2nd and medium. You're not just letting them rise up and throw. Whereas in soft man, you might be saying, hey, if they throw quick game, we'll rally and we'll take it. Soft zone, pretty much the same thing we just talked about, but in zone. Soft zones for us, cover 4, match, quarters, cut weak, cut field. Like, so those are soft zones, right? If they throw underneath, and because again, when you're in soft zone blitz, you're not going to be able to cover up all the underneath zones. You're avoiding underneath zones. Shit, if the quarterback's good and throws the 3 strong for 10 yards, hey, we'll tip our cap and play defense the next snap. But that's the concept we're trying to do. And then for us, max zone, it's not even it would be more of a simulated pressure, because max zone would be where, like, hey, we're thinking they're gonna go quick game here, and we're on all the hots and we're in zone. So like something like a double cut where you're in like a 3-man rush and you have all the hots taken care of, but you're in a soft zone. So it's a max zone coverage look where, again, you really can't really be pressuring out of that, but you're basically trying to take away quicks and be soft as well. The 5th one, and this doesn't happen, is this is kind of its own separate category, but special situations. Okay, so for instance, a special situation might be 3rd and 1. All right, like 3rd and 1 when they're in a heavy package. That's not a situation where you want to be in any of your simulated pressures. Like most teams have a short yardage package. So you might have a certain one blitz that week that's just an auto when they're in their heavy shit. Or another, like special situations, I think it can be like a last play a half type thing where, I believe it's kind of a what's safer. I'd almost rather send some kind of a soft zone pressure than if the quarterback's on the 40-yard line, rush 3, let them pat the ball and let them play jackpot in the end zone, right? So I don't know. I'd usually rather pressure and play soft zone, void a couple underneath zones. If they throw hot and they need the end zone, we'll rally. So just some different pressures that you might want to have in some special situations. So where to pressure, having pressures for different situations, I think is huge. And this is not even like – so this – talking about this situation, okay, this is 2nd and 6. Late in the game, fourth quarter, we're up one possession. They're driving on us, so touchdown beats us. We based on tendency, we basically were very convinced that they were going to be in drop back pass or quick game. So something where they're throwing the rock. So all we're doing conceptually here, guys, we're in that same package we've shown a lot of, which is our dime package with like kind of this 6 up look on the line where we walk our 6 guys up, and they could end up you'll notice like the guys are in different spots, but it looks the same. It's 6 guys walked up and we have our 6 DBs across. All we're doing here, we're rotating into cover 3. Okay, so we're going to go cut weak again, which is basically a day 1 coverage for us. We're going to rotate the dime to the middle. We're going to delay blitz the free safety right up the pipe. We're going to cover 2 weak with the dropper from the line, 3 strong with the dropper from the line. So I know that's a lot of lines, but I'll pause it for a sec. The one thing, again, we talked about in our zone pressures, we're anticipating pass here. So this is more of a we're kind of playing pass here, but we always in zone blitz, you got to take away the hots. Like if they can rise up and throw hot on your zone blitz, you got to take away the hots. So we can take away the hots. Technically, the pressure should be getting home. So you'll watch. I'll just draw up the guys that we say are responsible for the hots. So just because you're responsible for that hot player doesn't even necessarily mean you're low. So even though our field corner is high, he is technically covering down on 1 strong. Okay? Our field half, who's low in cover 3, is covered down on 2 strong. Again, we're saying they just throw the ball hot. Okay? We're dropping from the line to cover 3. To cover 3 strong. So right now we have hot players for 1, 2, and 3. We're sound to the field, if that makes sense. To the boundary, okay, they have 2 receivers. Well, we got to make sure we got 2 hot players. Boundary corner's hot to 1. Will's hot to 2 weak. Are we sound on the boundary? Yes. Okay, so we voided underneath zone, but we're covering the hots. So we got to take away the hots and hope the pressure gets home. And then we'll bring the free safety right up the pipe. Okay, if you watch this one develop, our Will linebacker does a great job. We actually get beat on this exact play early in the game. They complete it like almost the exact same D&D, same exact concept, and he's just this second late, whereas this time he does a great job playing off the hot, getting in the hip of the receiver, and then playing off the QB is the last thing, and he makes a great play on the throw. So, again, running it back, when you run the pressure, guys, again, if you pause it, and again, it's all good when the pressure gets home, right? The coverage matters a lot less. But if we pause it right now, it doesn't even matter if the pressure gets home or not. We are covered up. So if they throw hot to 1 weak, we're covered. They throw hot to 2 weak, we pick it. They throw hot to 3, we're dropping out from the line. We got hot to 2 with our field half, and then we're holding hot to 1 with the field corner. Free safeties in the middle of the field. We have our boundary half deep. So it's a really safe zone coverage. Guys have to understand, right? So we also talked about when we're teaching pressures, what's this good verse? What isn't it good verse? When we're zone blitzing, they're going to throw hot a lot of the times. So depending on what your quick game rules, we play through the quarterback, and that's what the linebacker does a great job, because if he's just running to the receiver here, he's not going to see the ball. Whereas he gets quick game, he realizes, gets his eyes back, and makes play on the football. So that was a huge play in the game for us. Great job by 30, dropping from the line. Great job by the coverage disguising. We'll show it from the tight. So, again, this is the same front. Let them have some fun with it. What I would pretty much tell them is, you know where you're going to end up based on the call. You can move around a bit. So based on the team we were playing, we wanted to move because they were a big-on-big protection. So you'll see when we run it, they're going to be pointing to who they're supposed to block. The key guy, also another key, when this is like a show front for us. So what I mean by a show front, we're dropping guys from the line of scrimmage into coverage. So they're showing blitz and then dropping. It's really important you teach your guys that are showing to act like they're pressuring. So one thing I really like about the picture right now is the body posture of all of our guys. There's not really any difference in their lean. The two guys that are actually standing the highest end up rushing. Okay, the guys who I'm going to circle, okay, do you see how they're leaning forward and showing pressure? If you're standing up, half dropping, looking at the 2 weak, O-linemen are pretty smart too. They're going to see that. Okay, so you got to lean, show pressure, right? Because if we're dropping you from the line of scrimmage, there's no way you have that difficult of a coverage responsibility. Show the pressure, get out, know where you're dropping to, and make a play. So if you watch 30 here, I'll drop the pressure quickly, but 30 does this perfectly. So all we're doing, it's an A-gap pressure with our tackles. It's a straight gap charge off the edge with our ends. And then what we're doing is we're bringing the free safety from depth right behind our tackles. So because it's a big-on-big team, what we're telling them is if you're free, you're free. Okay, so you'll see 95 right here gets free. But if they get picked up, so if they did block both of our tackles who are going into the A-gap, they would have to work over top into the B if they're blocked, because that will free up our free safety blitzing from depth. Okay, now we don't need the free safety because, again, we tell them, I'm not going to tell the tackle if you're unblocked to veer off. If you're unblocked, go make a play. So 95 gets in the quarterback. Again, if you focus on 30, who's the will, he drops perfectly from the line. And they do a good job moving around, creating some confusion. But look at his body posture. Look at how loaded up he is. 66 is pointing to him because he's loading up, and it looks like he's coming. They bust the protection. 30 goes hot to 2 weak. And he makes a great play on the ball. So one more time. It's a simple 5-man pressure. We're just playing cover 3. We're just junking it up a bit. Free safety would have got home as well. 95 does a great job just getting in the passing lane. Quarterback feels them. 30 does a great job picking it off. And that's just understanding, hey, I'm the weak hook player in cover 3. That's all it is. I'm dropping it 2 weak. Okay, the last slide, and then I'll just kind of open it and see it. We'll open up and ask any questions, put your mics on, whatever. The last, and like we said, maybe the most important slide, who to utilize. So, again, our jobs as coaches is pretty simple. Our jobs are to teach and to put our guys and players in a position to be successful. This is important when you're creating pressures, okay? Like we talked about, one of the reasons we go into our sub package on 2nd and long, we get an extra DB on the field because it gives us an extra guy that's able to play deep coverage. If you drop your D tackle in the deep third, that's probably not a great way to go. It could be sound on the board, right? It could be cover 3 and everything's right and the DN's doing this, but if your DN can't drop or if your DB can't blitz, it's probably not going to be a very successful pressure. So a huge part of that is how can I put my elite players in position to make plays? Okay, football is pretty damn simple. Again, if you got good players, find a way to get them involved. You got a really good linebacker, blitz, or maybe he's covering up someone that's blitzing, right? So at the end of the day, try and make sure that your blitzes are involving your best guys and putting them in a position to make plays. What players do you want doing what job? What will they be successful? So that's kind of what we talked about. Again, if I could drop a really sweet pressure and it has all my 4 D linemen dropping and the zone coverage looks really good, but the second they throw the ball and that D tackle's never been coached to cover or he just flat out can't cover, well, it's not going to work. So again, you got to make sure it's you're putting guys in doing a job that they can be successful. And usually it's got to be something that they've been coached to do or like they've done in practice, right? Like, again, and there's nothing wrong with dropping athletic D linemen, but don't put them in a deep third. Like, make their coverage responsibilities really easy. Have them do some pass shell the odd time. And then the last one that's, again, very important, especially getting into, like, when teams start personnelling more and switching personnel, what personnel group are they in and what personnel group do I want to be in? So if I'm playing a team and they're in a set where they got 6 receivers on the field, empty, like 6 wide, 5-0 line, 1 QB, I'm probably not going to be in a heavy set where we got 5 D linemen on the field. We're going to load up with DBs and play pass coverage. If they got 2 extra O linemen on the field, well, shit, we don't want to have a bunch of DBs on the field. We want to have run players. They're probably going to run the ball or they're trying to create space for their space players. So that's going to be important in terms of when you're pressuring. Again, you're not going to run pressure into an empty set, right? So that's what personnel group are they in and what do you want to be in? So the who is super important when you're pressuring. Okay, and we'll just the last 2 clips here. This one, again, we're talking about the who, but in terms of what pressure, this is probably the most simple pressure. We probably put this in day one. We're blitzing the middle linebacker, and we're playing cover 3. Okay, what makes this play? Again, we talked about it. Well, this kid's pretty damn good. Okay, when you got a good middle line. Now, honestly, we barely blitzed the middle linebacker the way our system's shaped up here. Not that he wasn't an absolute baller, but just with, again, here we're saying, okay, I need 45 to make a play for us here. We're going to blitz them. We're going to do something really simple with the front where we call it an opposite stump with the D tackles. We'll go to that when we look at the tight. But, again, this is nothing other than they're driving on us. Shit, 45, go make a play. So if you watch it develop, again, it's our base defense alignment. It's about as simple as a pressure as we get. We'll talk about the game on the inside. There's a little bit of a game behind it. But we're just in cover 3 zone, right? Really simple cover 3 zone. Everyone plays it, and we're just blitzing the MAC. We're stunting the tackles, which kind of makes the game decent up front, but 45 runs through and makes a play. And then we also have 2 studs on the boundary, and one of them picks up the ball. So, again, 45 straight gap, runs through his gap, swings the tailback around, forces a fumble. This was early in the game before we'd given up. So this was a huge play in the game. And 20, again, players make plays, finds himself around the ball like he always does, and makes a play. But, again, we'll watch the pressure from the wide one more time. 45, our Mac does a good job just hitting this. And then when he gets there, that's all him. That's all him. Great forced fumble. We'll talk about the game inside in a second. So makes a play. Love the effort by 50. 20 ends up picking it up. Again, players, this was the main thought of this was just who. Okay, and this is in our 5-man pressure family. It's a 5-man zone pressure. We're just playing cover 3. The thing that's all we're doing with the front, so we're in a tight alignment. So we're playing tight 2-1 techs, edge players, basically B-gap players, so 6-man box. But basically what we're doing when we call this an opposite stunt with our DTs. So when they hear opposite guys, they just go to the opposite interior gap. So A or B. They're lined up in the A, they go B. So this would be like how we talked about how we tag pressures. So this is just our 40 front, our 40 tight front. But we tagged opposite, so opposite's the stunt we talked about with the D tackles, and then magic's the pressure, and cover 3 is the coverage, right? So that's the tags. That's not necessarily something that we rep as a whole all the time. Those are just a couple tags put together, and they're really simple. So the D tackles know to run their opposite stunt. The Mac's smart, right? He knows the tackle's going here. Well, I can't blitz that gap anymore. I know I got to blitz my new gap. He does a good job. Anytime we're blitzing in the interior and we're stunting like this as a linebacker, you don't want to hit it too early, because if you hit it too early, watch 65. He sees them. They're well coached, Alberta. But again, 45 just beats him. He's just better on this play. But again, the fact that he's a second late, I think makes this pressure. If he walks up in the gap right now, 65's coming up on him. Also, great job on the edge here. We're actually doing a pretty good job fitting the run. 45 makes a great play. Okay, the last clip I'll show you guys, then we'll again ask questions anything. The last one we're going to show, it's not, and this is the who doesn't always necessarily mean the pressure. Okay, so the who, this one is just the who in terms of the coverage. So all we're doing here, this is a five-man pressure. Okay, we're bringing the will, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's a five-man pressure. We talked about in our five-man pressures, usually we're in cover one or cover three based on the field zone. And again, the who, we had some pretty good DBs that were playing pretty well at this point in the season. They had an injury at receiver. We thought we matched up pretty well in man in certain situations. So we're just playing cover one here, five-man pressure. So again, it's not necessarily the who that we're pressuring here. This is kind of the who. Coverage-wise, we liked our matchups in man-to-man. So hey, we'll run this. We feel good about our options in man, and we'll run it through. St. FX is in a perfect play call. Like, if you're an offensive coordinator and you say you're going to get cover one man, you're probably going to call smash or something where you get a corner of the field. Like, you can't really be in a better call. So this is one of the situations where they got to know, they should know that this is cover one's weak versus this, if we're playing this shade, whatever. But this is just a situation where the guy bails us out and our guy's better on this down. So again, it's a really good call by the offense. They run smash to the field. They get the look they want. It's man one, like man free. Our guy's just pretty good. Number 4 makes a really good play on the ball. I'll run it through here. And he turns it over. Sorry, it's a little choppy. Huh? Okay. So, again, smash to the field. We're just in straight cover one, five-man pressure. Not very exotic. 4 makes a great play on the ball. So, again, ball's in the air right now. What did we talk about early? Fundamentals. I don't care what coverage he's in. Doesn't matter if we're in cover 1, cover 5, cover 10. That is a 50-50 ball, and he wins it. It's not that cover 1, that's ball skills, right? So fundamentals will translate. All right. So that's all I got for you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach.
Oh, for sure. That was awesome. I got a couple questions here from Travis.
Perfect.
Or should I was going to say, can I open up the floor to questions, or what do you want to do here, Coach?
Yeah, start with answering. I think there's a few there for you. If you can just run through the chat, and then we'll open it up to everybody else. Perfect.
So the first one from Mitch, what are the weaknesses in cover 2 man with the halfback blitz? The thing about it is the halfback blitz doesn't really have anything to do with the 2-man concept. So to answer your question, the weakness in cover 2 man usually is the middle of the field. Okay, so you want to get some kind of man-to-man or crossing type concept in the middle of the field, or put stress on one of the safeties with like a double post or like a post fade. But and in any man-to-man, man's not very good if you're not very good player-wise, and man's really good if you're really good players-wise. So that's kind of a simple way to answer that question. Travis, we talked about difference of run pressure and a pass pressure. Hopefully that answered that. Again, fire me more if and then verbiage-wise, how have you streamlined your calls to simplify? Again, that would be just more finding ways and rules to tag stuff and make it simple. So again, teaching the concept of cover 3, teaching your rules on your perimeter blitzes, right? So like we touched on a little bit. We have rules when a perimeter player blitzes, right? We have rules when an interior player blitzes, so meaning a player in the box. So you could call boundary corner blitz, boundary half blitz. Those are just perimeter blitzes. As long as they know their rules on their perimeter blitzes, you should be all right. So hopefully that helps in terms of the verbiage. Like, it's really just cutting it into like front blitz coverage, and then tagging it, and then really with your full field concepts, it's just, if anything, just cutting the verbiage down and trying to make it not very wordy, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much all the questions we got. If anyone, no problem, Coach. I guess Coach Harper, or you get, if anyone wants to ask any questions.
Hey, actually, I just got one thing. I'm just wondering if you work with your DBs a lot. Is it a good idea to work like pass rushing with your DBs at all, like you would your backers? Yeah,
for sure. If that's a good question. So, talking about getting guys doing stuff that they can be successful. If you got a DB that you're going to blitz a lot, definitely you got to find a way to work it at some point. Maybe not in one-on-ones, but make sure he's working some rush and have a bit of a plan when he's blitzing. So it's a good question.
Nice, thank you.
Zach. Okay, a couple questions.
Yeah, for sure.
How much does personnel and formation dictate what you do? So, I'll be pretty blunt. You got a lot of 3-2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, first and foremost, 4-1 or 2-3, but does that get you out of your pressure check?
So depending on that's a great question. Like you said, 32 would be the one that obviously is pretty standard, and but usually a lot of those simulated pressures. There's kind of two ways we'll go about it. We'll either formation check it. So if it's a team going in and they play two formations, 32 and 23, well, then we're just going to prep. We're not really going to formation check that week. We're just going to know, okay, when we're running this pressure, how do we run it versus 32? How do we run it versus 23?
Will you be in a position, like Colangelo, where all of a sudden you get something to be like, guys, if they come out and they go into 3-1 or they have a double motion, we got to make a kill call here and play 4 or play double hold or something?
That's where that just comes down to basically how smart your guys are and how good your communication is. Because at the end of the day, depending on usually we'll know going into it, we'll say, okay, this is going to be a final formation call for us. Yeah. So a lot of our match principle stuff, even if we're zone blitzing, we got a final formation even in man, right? So, for instance, those 32 pressures where we were playing man out of them, remember how the Will had 2 weak? Yeah. Well, if there's no 2 weak, he's got to cover someone else. So it's 41 or whatever, right? So
that's the one that I was specifically thinking about, the 2-man.
Yeah.
If you get into any 4-1, the rotation for you is going to be crazy.
The only thing is it's not really, because, again, you're just rotating that 2 shell. And the guys, it's really easy to peel off from the line of scrimmage and cover, right? So you just have 2 guys peeling off from the line of scrimmage, basically, if that makes sense.
And then personnel-wise, how much 3-back did you see? And
3-back, not a lot. Bishop's a bit of 3-back. And, again, that becomes more we would have a lot more based on formation type stuff when we were playing teams like that had bigger personnel tendencies. So if there is a team where they're going to be personnelling a lot and being in 3-back, 2-back, double tight, we'll have because again, realistically, if you're in 3-back, it's probably something you do 5 to 10 times, right? Or again, a lot of that stuff is going to be something you do 5 to 10 times a game. There's only so many snaps in a game, right? So that becomes when we start auto checking the pressures, right? Because so if they're a team that runs some unconventional shit, we see some 31, we see some 30 nub tight end we're going to have one. We only need one pressure for those situations. So if we come out and call a pressure and they're in that, check, auto, and we're playing ball. Or there will be a couple calls where they'll know, so those 2-mans were calls that we're playing it. A lot of our man stuff or stuff that's pretty easy to figure out, we talk about final formation type coverages, a lot of the times we'll just play it. And obviously now that depends on your rules, but those guys got to know how to figure it out, right? Also, a lot of it, because like you were saying with the rotations, our rotations are going to be based on your pre-snap alignment. So you'll get a different shell if we line up in 41.
So that leads me to my next question.
Okay.
Is another big one is the double motion stuff.
Yeah.
Or a big thing that we're playing with well, Scott's on the call, but like formation out of personnel,
Yeah.
like being in a position where, you know, we're in a 2-back set, but we'll show 3-back or line back up into like motion.
Oh, well, that shit becomes tricky, man. That's when, honestly, like by game plan, that's probably going to simplify what we're doing to a degree a little bit.
Yeah.
Like even for us, St. Effects, they pretty much stay in that one fullback personnel, but a lot of times he'll be split out. So even though they're in one personnel group, they'll kind of they'll wear a lot of same hats with that same personnel grouping. So sometimes whereas again, if it's a team that, okay, sick, I know they're in 3-back, they're doing this or this, I'll have a pressure for that. So
yeah,
that kind of makes sense. It depends on the kind of tendencies you get personnel wise, I would say.
All right.
So
yeah, man, that's honestly, Zach, I was blown away, man. That's a great job.
Oh, I appreciate it. And great questions. Yeah. It's and then even seeing got Coach Perkin here. How do you determine +1 blitz players, especially when receivers bomb into the pro? So had some good talks even recently on this. Literally exact same thing with Coach Brady, what we were just talking about in a couple. There's, like we talked about, one of the things I teach our guys is verse +1. One of the things we're not worried about is guys bombering in. Okay, so to answer the second part of your question first, at the start, we were trying to add in when they add in. And that wasn't a way we were going to go about it. It just didn't work. That guy wasn't getting home. So whatever your rules are, but basically we usually will just hover or do different stuff when a guy bombers in, if that kind of answers that. And then how do you determine +1 blitz players? Depends on the protection you're trying to based on the protection. And then the third one, sometimes it's just which player do you want to get free? Like maybe this pressure, you think the Sam's going to come home and your Sam's super fast. So I'd say it's player-based or protection-based, or a little bit of disguise-based, because even one thing we needed to get way better at Mount A in terms of our +1 pressure, we only ran it out of 1 or 2. So the second way, and the thing about the AUS, you play teams 2-3 times. Second, third time we're playing teams, fuck, that O-line's picking it up a lot better, and the guy coming off the edge is coming from far. So we got to get a little more creative, and had some good talks about that. So that's a good question there, Coach Perkins. I don't know if anyone else has got anything. Quarantine, I got nothing but time here, folks.
Anybody else, fellas?
Awesome.
No? Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Coach. That was awesome.
Oh,
man.
no problem.
Yeah, great job, Zach.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, and thanks for having me on, Coach Harper.
Yeah, man. Would love to have you back another time. But thanks
Oh,
again,
100%.
buddy. I appreciate it.
for sure.
Always a wealth of knowledge to have in the area. That's awesome, buddy.
Oh, I appreciate it. Guys, feel free to reach out if you ever want to reach out or whatever, social media, whatever. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah.